suspicion among leaders in the region with the onset of the multi-party dispensation, which we are not used to. And I'd like to thank the Kasunga spirit for having evolved this idea of bringing leaders together. And consequently, the Elders Forum was formed, as you have been told. And the Elders Forum did its job as far as I'm concerned. The MPs Forum was also formed, of which I was a member. But Kasunga too, in my opinion, was even more focused because it dealt with the issues of socio-economic transformation. An evaluation has been made, I'm sure you heard what came out. But then we dealt with the issues of education, agriculture, tourism services, and I recall delivering a paper on the economic potential of the region, especially the mineral potential. I'm sure some experts within our think tank must have followed up that paper, and if possible, even improved it. My view is that we need another special retreat. We don't have to wait for 1 year. We need another special retreat to continue evaluating the resolutions which we pass. Because this special retreat will help us concretize the ideas which we share and also implement the resolutions that we pass. The think tank has done a good job to inform policy. As you have been told, when we sat here and agreed on the Rwenzori Social Action Fund, I was minister in the Prime Minister's office then. We took it up, I drafted the concept. The concept was sold to the Minister of Rural Triangle, and it is now a government plan. But really the concept came from here. So nobody should underrate the importance of this forum. And this is how policies are evolved worldwide. There is a misconception that the president and ministers and members of parliament must always be the only ones to evolve policy. In developed countries, policies are evolved by think tanks. And think tanks are recognized. They do research and inform the policy makers. And policy makers, where they are convinced, take up those policies and eventually they become laws. I'm yet to see another forum in Uganda. I say this without fear of contradiction. I'm yet to see another forum in Uganda which is influencing policy like this one. Now, we got a number of papers which stimulated NADS, for example. And I'm happy among the papers here you are discussing the progress on NADS. We got a good papers from our experts in agriculture within KRC on agriculture and the performance of NADS. I would like to observe that in the region, although government has pumped in a lot of money, NADS has not performed very well. NADS has not performed very well. A lot of resources continue to be spent on workshops and talking. We members of parliament have pointed out this. The president has been very clear that more resources must be spent on actual inputs. But I think we still have a war with our technical people to grasp our vision of NADS. But I hope from this meeting you'll even get us more information which can help us to review NADS. I was extremely impressed when I was invited, I think a month ago, to attend KRC conference on climate change. I did attend, and the information we got was very useful. And I am happy to learn that Honorable Alex Ruhunda, doing his job as an MP, has presented a petition in Parliament to ask Parliament to take the issues of climate change very seriously. I have also written to all local governments to start mainstreaming to start mainstreaming. I hear there is mainstreaming these days in budgets, gender mainstreaming, that every budget must have a gender component. That's very good. But we are now demanding that every budget in local governments must have a climate change component.
Oh, good.
And that information came from the retreat we had on climate change organized by KRC. Although I'm in government, but I was able to realize that only 1% of our budget is allocated to environment. This is not good. Yeah, it is sad. So we have taken it up as government. My colleague here has presented a petition, and I would like to assure you that government will definitely tackle the issues of climate change very seriously. We have also formed the Parliamentary Forum on Climate Change. We are going to have the International Global Summit on Climate Change in Durban, South Africa, in December this year. I have nominated 2 local government leaders from this region to go to Durban and attend the issues of climate change and come back and feed us what the summit will have decided in Durban. But all this came from the retreat, which we had somewhere in Lazio. That's French. I speak Rotor and English. That's Lazio. So really, this spirit must be encouraged. You can see how when we get information from you as thinkers, how we in government take it head on. We take it up. So let's continue thinking. The other day I heard somebody saying that acting without thinking is a catastrophe. Somebody was saying, and they quote that thing, because there are people who just act, but you don't think about what you are going to do, and you end up in a catastrophe. So I'm happy that this is a thinking forum, and it will help us in government to act with the ideas that you give us. The theme of this conference, in my view, is well chosen. It talks of harnessing development opportunities for the well-being of rural households. And you are discussing issues of food security, NADs, production ordinances, the approach of NGOs and so on. But you can't discuss this without looking at the economic situation we are facing now. And I'd like, as somebody from government, to give you, I know my good brother Andrew is going to speak about the economic crisis. I was sitting and listen. But I would like to tell you that the crisis we are facing, as far as we are concerned, is not the making of government. There is that misconception. This government has caused the rise in prices. This government has caused the rise in school fees. This government has caused the rise of prices of fuel. That's a wrong diagnosis in my view. The situation we are facing is global. Of course, historically, as a people, we are to blame as a people. Because now, as we speak, the global demand for tea, which is a major crop for Toro, the entire global demand for tea is $7.6 trillion. $7.6 trillion, the global demand. Now Kenya, which is a tea grower, some of you have been to the areas of Kericho. Kenya alone is exporting $700 million worth of tea. Uganda, we are exporting only $92 million worth of tea. The global demand, 8.1 trillion. So the demand for tea in the whole world is very, very big. So what is the challenge for us? The challenge for us is that we are exporting less than what we import. And when you import more than what we export, you earn little foreign exchange. And when you earn little foreign exchange, definitely the cost of the dollar must go up. Definitely you get inflation. Definitely you have a problem. So the challenge for all of us is to realize, first of all, that we have a deficit, a budget deficit. We have a market that is very wide, but we are producing little. So what is the challenge? Is the challenge the blame game? Is the question the blame game? It's not the question should be, what should we do? To increase production. What should KRC do? What should LOC1 do at his village? What should LOC5 do? What should the councillors do? What should RDCs do? What should journalists do? What should civil society do? Promote awareness and stimulate production. And I am happy KRC has been sent from this. I'm not praising them because I'm here. I'm saying what they have been doing. I'm happy they have been sent from this because they have been telling us all along. We had even a conference on apart from climate change. I think we even discussed the nature of our soils. What can we do about our soils to boost production?
The tourism potential
in the whole world, the money which is earned from tourism in the whole world is $940 billion from tourism in the whole world. And Uganda, we are just earning $1.1 billion from tourism, which is very little. That is a very small percentage of the world share.
So, government
has put in place policies to stimulate tourism, but we still have a challenge, of course. The private sector should also take up the environment. I don't think stability is a problem anymore, although when we keep getting these issues of walk to work, issues of causing commotion where it shouldn't be, foreigners get scared because foreigners were not born here. Somebody who lives in Austria did not grow in Mwesige. Me who grew here, even if I heard there is a problem in Mwesige, I will go because I know the shortcuts. I can get a vehicle and find myself in Kasunga without going through Kenjogi. But somebody born in Austria, born in the United States, when he hears Ugandans, are at war with themselves over issues
which we can resolve without
causing alarm, of course they get scared. So the money we are earning from tourism is not enough compared to the potential we have, because tourism is also an export. It earns foreign exchange. Now we have 21 factories, fish factories. All those fish factories are working at 25% capacity. And you remember fish
has been one of our major exports. The reason is we have
had indiscipline in the fishing industry. People are fishing
using illegal nets,
and they end up catching immature fish which do not produce. So the population of fish in our lakes is still a problem. But we have put strict regulations now. We have put in an enforcement mechanism to make sure that the fish
industry is revived, so that all these factories can
operate optimally. Maize, which we could produce in the region, we are only producing 166 million kilograms per annum. And because of the increased market, a few years ago, Southern Sudan was not importing maize from here. But the capacity now has increased. They have a government, their purchasing power has increased. They are now buying in the north. They even buy maize from the gardens. So the price of maize, the demand for maize in the region, in the whole region, in Kenya, in Tanzania, Malawi, Botswana, for Uganda, maize has also increased. But the production is still low. We need to put in more effort, apply fertilizers where we can, increase production because the market is there. At the moment, we are importing, we are producing about 1.7 million liters of milk per year. Before, when we had dairy corporation, which did not perform well, the dairy corporation was producing about 15,000 liters of milk per day. But since we privatized the dairy industry at Samia, and would like to see more players in the dairy industry, we are now producing about 280,000 liters of milk per day. And we have potential even to produce more milk because the demand for milk worldwide is very high. The factory which we have, the dairy factory which we have in Kampala, has capacity to produce 1 million liters of packed milk per day. Government has now decided for the beginning, at least we should have one dairy cow. For the beginning, I'm not talking about the rich dairy farmers, I'm talking about the poor farmers. For the beginning, at least if we could have every household having one milk cow per family, every household in Uganda, and this is possible. It is possible.
If in a village of, if in like in my village,
of 200 families, we had one Frisian dairy cow per family. Those would be 200 cows in one village. And a good cow, if you look after it properly, if we give inputs to farmers, could easily produce even 40 liters of milk a day. So you'd end up having about 8,000 liters of milk in one village. And if we produce milk and empower a village to have a milk cooler, that milk can be preserved and supplied to these factories, and we can definitely catch up with the target of 1 million liters per day of packed milk. Now, overall, I have not talked about rice because it is again bad that we are importing. Uganda imports $110 million. Imports, not exports. We import $110 million worth of rice. And as you can see, the capacity to produce rice is abundant. The concept that rice can only be produced in swamps is long gone because we now have upland rice which can grow even on hills. So this is also a challenge which we can feel. We need to come up with initiatives
as leaders to boost production in all these commodities, which
I have outlined. We have a challenge in sugar. In 1996, when our government came into power, we were producing almost no sugar. Those of you who were here know that there was almost no sugar production at all. Now, because of the few factories which were supported, we are now producing about 30,000 metric tons of sugar. But even this one is not enough. Because as we speak, Kakira factory is working under production. Kinyara sugar factory is not working at all. The other factory of Rugazi is producing also under capacity. So we are
struggling. We are planning
to boost all these factories again, but also acquire more land in Amuru. We are negotiating with the community so that we can grow sugar in Amuru areas. We have also got an investor around Kasunga, around Lake Kyoga areas, who has acquired about 30 square miles
producing sugar. And we are struggling to make
sure that the sugar production in Kinyara resumes. so that we can have enough sugar for our people, but also leave a balance to export. Now, so, in summary, the challenge is there. The problem is low exports compared to high imports. The challenge for us, all of us here, is to work very hard to make sure that we boost exports, especially
in areas where we have the comparative advantage.
Comparative advantage, especially in agriculture. If we modernize our agriculture, and government is doing its part to make sure that agriculture is modernized, but this can't be our job alone, it's the job for all of us. We should be able to overcome the crisis of high prices. We have come up with a paper on reviving the economy. Unfortunately, we don't have time, we would have discussed it. But briefly, that is the summary of what we are doing. Boost production in agriculture, add value to the production, and for good reasons, because we share a common history, we share more or less a common culture. There are minor differences, but those are normal. We share common geography, we share common resources, and I think we share a common destiny. And so it was important and therefore proper for Kasunga to focus on Renzo region for the time being. Although Kasunga 1, which I attended, being the first of its kind, mainly focused on reconciliation, I think by that time we had a lot of suspicions that existed. For those of you who were here, remember that it was not easy to bring the leaders together. It was not easy to bring people together. There was
so much suspicion.
There was so much suspicion that
Kasunga had to
and the process
that we follow will
definitely be transparent, but also the discussion from here will help us enrich our policy on oil production and oil management. Our vision is to make sure that we produce our oil, but also we should refine our own oil and add value to it. Shale oil and the proceeds that will be got from oil will be applied only to building infrastructure that will last, will last the test of time. Infrastructure that future generations will come and see that our grandfathers and fathers and so on who were here before discovered oil and they applied oil to transform the social and economic infrastructure of our country. And our main focus is on enhancing power generation. As I told you, currently we are only producing about 170 megawatts of electricity, which is far less, which is not enough at all to help us stimulate industry.
So if we get money from oil,
our first priority is to make sure it's invested in power generation so that power can help us to boost industry and value addition. And already you might have heard the president say in the papers, the little money which we have already got from taxes on oil exploration, the $900 million US, all that money is going to be applied to the construction of Karuma Power Project. And when Karuma Power Project is constructed, Kabarole will have power, Karamoja will have power, Kabale will have power, the whole of Uganda will have power. That will still be not enough because we have other power stations which we plan to construct. And we believe that when production is full scale, we should be able to cover our energy needs in the whole country. Once again, thank you very much.